Hey, good morning, everyone. My wife, in the middle of the night, well, just right now, it's about 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, just a quarter to 6, but at 5, not decided, she was sleeping and said, "What do you want?" And I woke her up and she goes, I'm okay. The TV's on downstairs. I said, "What?" She goes, "The TV's on downstairs." "Yeah? How do you know?" Because they were making noise. I was asking them why. They were irritating me. Like, who? I don't know. You were giving Iris a bath. I was trying to tell him to stop making noise. So I got up. Sure enough, the TV is on downstairs, and whatever's on is cartoons. So I turn it off. Um, so that's why I'm here. Uh, to start, we had a conversation. What's on my mind right now is church versus state. Church versus state. That's not the right term. Church and state. It's not versus. I wholeheartedly believe that this country was built off of grounded values, objective values that were derived from Christianity, from the Bible. State doesn't influence church, but church does influence state. So I mentioned to my wife that I wish my church played more of a political role. And that did not mean that I wished it was more conservative or liberal. My my hope is that the church pays more attention to politics in using its beliefs, um, its its good beliefs, its actual our country's beliefs, our objective truths. Do good to others. In God we trust. Thou shalt not kill thy neighbor. It's the church will influence the state. Uh, Liberals, Democrats have not always been this way. She asked me if a liberal came over to the church that you're going that has political affiliation or that preaches their politics outwardly through their religion, would I allow them to come in? I said, absolute. Conversation is key. We need to have more of it. By not communicating, we are divisive. Someone said it in the chat earlier that if we're not talking, you're either on my side or you're my enemy. That's not true. We're Americans. Let's figure out how we can live together. And we know how we've been able to do it for the last 250 years. Fighting tyranny, fighting communism, fighting oppression, working together to make milestones, loving one another, breaking hate, breaking bonds, um, critical race theory, and white privilege. I am not going to be convinced that it is a way of creating cohesion, because in every step of that process, all I'm able to listen to is how I need to repent. I need to say sorry. I need to take the back seat. Look, I was born the same year you were, in the same time you were. Maybe I was even your neighbor. We went to the same schools. Okay, I'm not going out and saying that there's no class structure. That's just that just is. That's just the way our system works. It's the best one we know how. It's the best one for 250 years for a reason. There's been no other better society in this world other than ours. I wholeheartedly believe that, and I will fight, not for yesterday's America, but for the future of America. How can we all live together in this beauty of this world, the beautiful place that we have, without communication. So, church and state. I want our church, or the church that I'm going to attend, to have ability, or at least to have the, there's a word here. I want the church to be more involved in politics. There's several people like Alan Jackson, Charlie Kirk spoke highly of this, about how when we passively take the back seat to politics and don't allow our religion to be a part of the conversation, hey, um, it's important that we take care of America first. It's important that we have borders in order to protect our way of life and our sovereignty. Um, Not that you're excluding. You don't allow everybody to come into the school without understanding what your rules are. You don't hire people that have a toxic culture. You don't want somebody, one person can really break a culture apart in a workplace. Okay, let's talk about it in a work sense. If you've got positive, uplifting, teaching, loving moments, obviously, discipline when you don't pay attention over and over and over, um, you know, that comes with obedience. And look, you're here to do a job, and I get certain conversations shouldn't be in that workplace. Like, time and place is important. But religion, our Christianity, we should have conviction. I don't understand why we can't fight for the right thing. If the Republicans are wrong about something, yeah, I will say something. I would love to be, no, that's not right. If at some point it gets to be oppressive and we're denying people rights, then absolute. If someone wants to say that the Republicans right now are denying transgender rights, well, I would argue that the transgender rights are trying to be more in everyone's face than really necessary and even fair. It's not that you're being oppressed, it's just that you're kind of just being silenced a little bit because you're so loud. There's really nothing. I have a transgender um, woman in my family, born a man, turned a woman, and she was always my aunt growing up. Never not been my aunt until recently when she's still my aunt. I'm not saying until. She's still, but I didn't know of her transition. She did it in the 70s. It's been around, folks. It's not been here. It's just not been in front of our children. Indoctrination, teaching. You can't. Children shouldn't be taught that they can be different sexes. Men should not be in women's sports. If you identify as a woman, I think you can also identify as a cat. I still love my aunt dearly. On the religious sense, she is born a boy with genetics of a boy, and she changed her appearance to a woman. That's fact. That's just what happened. I'll never have this conversation with her unless she wants to in a respectful sense. I'll never not love her. Love is what you make of the person, okay? We all make our choices, and I'm not gonna tell her it was neither wrong or right. I just don't want that for my daughter. I don't want that for me, and I don't want that in our schools. To be teaching our children that you can have a doll that can have a transition at 5th grade, 6th grade, 4 years old, right? Like, we have to protect our children. And by doing that, we start by giving them the core beliefs that are the most important, okay? I said earlier something about how Muslims do only good deeds to get to heaven, and I think I excluded my opinion, or I didn't voice the fact that I'm well aware that Christians do good deeds as well. We don't just talk about it; we be about it. Um, I've always been a promoter of actions speak louder than words. Words hurt too. Words can cut. Sometimes I'm not nice, and saying sorry does not cut it. Just change, be better. Um, keep trying to be better every single day. All right, give yourself grace. Allow yourself to thank your or to yeah be grateful. Like forgive. There it is. Forgive yourself for making the mistakes you did, because others will too. But they can't do it if you won't allow yourself to forgive. If you can't forgive yourself, no one else can do that for you. So I'm going to find a church that I belong to one now, and I'm going to continue to go as they want me to be a part of it. But I'd also like to be a part of a church that outwardly expresses their church values towards politics. We need to express our church values in politics to promote a beautiful America. That's what I believe. That's what I think would be the best course of action. I brought up Israel, and I was like, is Israel a Jewish state? And she goes, well, yeah, but they have mosques. I'm like, yeah, so do we. It's not that we're being against, it's just that we know it's a great grounding place. It's a great building block to know that we're not hating anybody and we're allowing people to come in, but we're not going to allow them to take over. We're not going to allow them to remove our morals. That's key, okay? It's very, very key. So, when you're going through today and you're being beat up or you feel that you're being pushed out, have conversation. If you get upset, I'm not the most articulate, but the more I'll speak, the better we get. I give myself grace. I forgive myself when I make the wrong decision or I make the wrong uh, point. Sound bites will always be poked out. People will comment on sound bites till they're blue in the face. Um, just like the Bible, it can be interpreted the way you want it to sound for your interest. We live for God, and we try to be more godly every single day, to be more Christ-like in every moment. You can fail 1 minute, and you can pick yourself up the next. You can use the Lord's name in vain, or see a pornographic video and forgive yourself the next and move on. Forgiveness doesn't exclude repentance and obedience. Okay? Live in the light. All 10 commandments. Reading the book, the Sabbath book from Charlie Kirk. And in the last chapter, or like second to, towards the end of the book, he talks about these gentlemen who believe that we aren't bound to the Sabbath on the day of the Old Testament, but we are bound to the circadian rhythm and the 7-day calendar that the Bible built, and that's why we still have it today. There's been many times in history where countries, leaders have tried to change the work schedule, tried to change the calendar. 5 days, 11 days, 4, whatever. But the one we landed on, which makes the most sense and has never had any problems, because people, it's in our DNA. It's built in us. That's a truth. The 7-day work week, the 7-day week of one day you need to rest. Okay? Find a day of rest and cut off all outside. Turn your phone off, get off social media, play with your friends, with your family. Maybe have conversations. Maybe talk about things that you normally don't. If you don't challenge yourself, you're not going to grow. Okay? Right? That's what school's all about. We learn, we challenge, we grow. That's what debate's about. We learn, we challenge, we grow. Insight. It's very, very important. So, I love you all. Today's a new day. Have a great one, and I'll talk to you soon.